I want to be the dumbest person in the company. That means everybody else can do everything and I don't know any. What I strive to do is to train and empower the people on my team to such a level that they make me look stupid. It doesn't make sense to hire smart people and then tell them what to do. We hire smart people so they can tell us what to do. Steve Jobs, billionaire founder, Apple Computers, he needed to get the best out of his people. So he may not have been the one designing the iPhone, like all the ins and outs, but it was him who would come up with the ideas and have that vision and then hire the right people with the right expertise to actually bring that vision to life from A to Z. Learn when to hire, what to hire for, find an A player and onboard them with guaranteed success. That is what I am going through in this document and in this video. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Kyle Mao. I'm the founder and CEO of Hire UA and Teamity. This video is for business owners making at least $10,000 a month in revenue and goes over general tips and best practices to find the best person for your business and to make sure that you succeed. We're going to be focusing on why you should focus on building a great company, why you shouldn't lead or manage out of fear and punishment. If you've never been hired before or haven't hired much, how exactly you should go about it, when to hire, what order to hire in, what to ask on interviews, how to train and onboard your new team members, what that onboarding process should look like, as well as the length of time training and onboarding to get to full speed. Hiring good people makes life really easy as a business owner, and hiring bad people makes it significantly worse. You are the sum of the lowest part in your company, and I always say that the goal for me as the owner of the business, I want to be the dumbest person in the company. That means everybody else can do everything and I don't know anything. That would be like the ideal world where I'm the dumbest person in the company, and that is genuinely what I strive to do, is to train and empower the people on my team to such a level that they make me look stupid. So this is the Hire UA team in Budapest, Hungary in July 2024, and then the year prior in Warsaw. So, a lot of the same people, some new people as well, obviously. You might ask, why do I show you these photos? It's to show you that generally speaking, it's better to build a company where people like working there and are excited to go to work than a company that's based off of fear and punishment. So everyone in their career has had a manager who they hated, they felt was unfair, or, favored somebody, didn't give them a promotion they thought they deserved, any number of things. You don't want to be a pushover, but you also don't want to be a dictator. And I think it's generally speaking, if you treat people the way that you want to be treated, you're going to have more success in life in general, and especially in your business. So I think it's really bad when entrepreneurs lead out of just fear and just telling people like, you're screwing up. I don't think you're going to get the best results out of people. That's just not how it works. Don't be a pushover, but don't be a dictator. You don't need to be an asshole to people to get good performance out of them. You just don't. You can try it that way. My experience says repeatedly, that's not the long-term way to go about it. You just have to be fair. Cliche, but treat people the way that you'd like to be treated. Simple advice, yet extremely valuable. So the next thing I want to talk about is that hiring is not as expensive as you think. So a few examples of this is Creatively Disruptive. They've hired 5, I think it's actually 8 people now. They save about $150,000 a year. Penang Media saved 50% on a video editor and a media buyer. I think they also have an executive assistant now, if I'm not mistaken. Zach, ZHS Ecom, saved 50% on hiring costs versus local talent. And Steven Trister, video editing agency, saved $50,000 a year hiring 2 editors through us. Here's just a few positions. Virtual assistant, we started $1,000 a month from the USA, at least $4,000 a month for a virtual assistant. Full stack developer from $3,000 a month out here with Hire UA in Eastern Europe and other regions. And then from the USA, if you want to get someone, a full stack developer in San Francisco, it's going to cost you at least $15,000 a month, maybe more. As you can see, the prices are extremely low compared to hiring locally. And I would argue you get better attitude and better talent for that too. A lot of people in the Western world, in America, I'm a millennial. I graduated college in 2009, born in 1991. And I know that people my age, like a lot of them, they don't like working, and they're just simply, they think that they deserve the world. They think they should graduate college and make $200K a year. They should be the CEO of the company within 2 years of starting their career. Their expectations, I don't know why, but are just a little bit out of whack. So you as the business owner, you're the one who gets screwed on this, because at the end of the day, you need the help, and their expectations are so out of whack that you just can never align with them. Compare that to out here in Eastern Europe or Latin America or other regions of the world where this is a good opportunity for someone. I started the company in Ukraine. So for someone in Ukraine to make $1,000 a month, that's really good. Like, for some perspective, my wife was working at a big chain hotel in Ukraine a couple years ago, full-time as a reservations manager, and her salary was less than this. It was like $700, $800 a month with some bonuses. Like maybe in a really good month, she could make $1,000. So I'm not lying, I'm not joking. And you can actually check out some of the cost of living videos that we've published. When I say that this is a good salary and this is a good salary, it's the reality of it. You're giving someone a good opportunity. So the question is, can you afford not to hire overseas? I don't know. You got to look at your money, obviously. But if you're making at least $10,000 a month in revenue, you can realistically get a 40-hour-a-week virtual assistant for 10% of your company's revenue, and you get to turn around and take 40 hours back in your pocket. And actually, I was just talking to a client who another client acquired the other day, and they're kind of revamping her infrastructure. And she said, I'm spending like 60 grand a month in salaries from locally in the States. And I said, you could cut that down by $40,000 or more just by going overseas. It's that kind of shocking difference. So the thing is, as a business owner, especially if you're someone in that range of like $10,000 a month, the founder's time, that's the most important thing that your company has, because it's ultimately what's going to drive the company forward. So if you can get all that time in the week back, that's ultimately a trade that you should make every time, especially if it's only, 10 or 15% of your revenue on a monthly basis. Now, on a more advanced position, should you give up 30, 40, 50% of your revenue? I would argue probably not. If you're that low of a number, and even if you're a higher number, obviously you never give that much of your revenue away, but you might need to buckle down, do it yourself, get your business to the next level. Another example, Chase Diamond. Watch this case study here. He hired his social media manager for his LinkedIn growth agency in just 4 days, and he saved about 70% what he would actually pay someone locally. So Chase, huge social media following, as you can see here, about 345,000 followers on LinkedIn, another 142 on Twitter, X, and another 58,000 on Instagram. So as you can see, pretty big results for some pretty big names here. If you are at that revenue number, again, about $10,000 a month, you might be asking, when should I hire? And I don't think there's a one size fit all answer, but this graph that I'm showing here on the screen is the closest thing I can give you to summing up how it should be. You should hire when it's the only way that you can stop the below cycle. So if you are finding yourself constantly doing this is when you need to make that hire. So step number one, you go out and you scrounge up business, whether that's, cold emailing, cold calling, going door to door, whatever it's going to be. You're the one, as the business owner, the founder, you got to go and actually get that business. After that, maybe you hit the pavement, few weeks, month, I don't know what it is, you start getting business. Fantastic. That's a good problem. 3, also a good problem is you get busy, which means you stop step number 1. So you start getting business in step number 2, and then you get busy. So in step number 3, you start saying, oh gosh, I have all this work. I cannot take on new clients. I can't manage the current clients, whatever it is. And you have to go and stop your lead gen and your sales. And you say, I can't take any more business, pause the ads, pause the outreach, whatever it's going to be. And then what happens is you fulfill all the people that you got in step number 2. So you're over here now, you're in 3, you go to 2, you fulfill. And what happens is, because you've stopped number 1, all the lead gen and all the sales opportunities, all the networking, that stops. So then you get to step number 4 and you say, I have no business. Where are all the clients? Where are all the customers? And it's because you stopped it, and the gods of business decided to punish you. So you stopped it, and the result is now you're back at step number 1. And you would be shocked at how many business owners repeat this exact cycle over and over and over again, when all they really need to do is hire here in step number 3 to actually do some of that fulfillment, or they hire someone for step number 1 to make sure that the lead gen can be managed while they're doing fulfillment. And this is a death trap. This is how you get stuck at the same revenue and you live the same thing month after month, year after year, is by staying in this cycle instead of relieving yourself of some duties, which is really not as hard as you would think. Here are a few stories of successful entrepreneurs and business owners who've made one of their first hires. So a story that jumps out to me all the time is this one here. Marcos hired 2 people, went from making like $20,000 a month to a multi-million-dollar Twitter and LinkedIn agency. We've got Adam here, who hired a part-timer here in 2024 and took over all his client comms. Dave here, agency CEO, failed with LinkedIn, couldn't find who he needed on LinkedIn, managed to get someone for his outbound lead gen agency, take back all that inbox management time and be able to grow catastrophically and be able to grow substantially. And then finally Don here. So you can watch any of these videos, and see what people say, but this has basically been what we've done for business owners starting out, as well as, if you're a business owner making $1 million a year, we can still help you. Same processes, same thing works. So you might be saying, like, what's the order I should actually hire in? And typically you should hire in this order: fulfillment, sales, and marketing. Now, you might notice that this is a direct reversal of how business actually works in terms of timelines, which looks like this. So you market your product out into the world, doesn't matter what you're doing, whether it's ads, whether it's cold email, cold calling, door-to-door, content marketing, networking, whatever it is, you market. You get your product, your service, your company out into the world so that people know who you are. Once your marketing has worked, so to speak, you have interested leads or prospects or clients. Number 2, you sell, you close them on it. And then step number 3 is you actually fulfill whatever it is. Go out and you book calls on their calendar if you're a lead gen agency. You ship them the physical product if you're an e-commerce store owner. You build their house if you're a contractor. You hang their Christmas lights if you're a local service business hanging Christmas lights. Whatever it's going to be, you fulfill on what it is. Now, you should hire the reverse of what you actually do. And the reason why is really simple. It's because typically in business, no matter what business it is, the majority of time it makes significantly more sense to hire fulfillment first because it takes the most time and it's the most easily repeatable and outsourceable. So a sales call, you could have it varied all the time. It's always going to be a little bit different. What someone says their objections are, no matter what, the process of fulfilling them after is probably going to be the same. So let's say that somebody wants to buy a sauna online. You have a sauna store, you sell saunas online. A lot of the sales questions might be different. Some people might say, I'm putting it in my garage. Other people might say, I'm putting it in my bathroom. So those are variables, whereas with fulfillment, you're shipping the same sauna. So anyone can take the order, put in an address. You can easily train someone how to do this. Usually the most repeatable yet time-consuming task of running a business is fulfillment. So for example, an e-commerce store, fulfilling orders, customer service requests. Even if you have the perfect FAQ section on your site, people are still going to say what's your return policy? Even if it's in big, bold, red flashing letters, people will still ask you what the return policy is because people can't read. Dealing with returns, all of this, extremely time-consuming, repetitive, and very easy to outsource. So you can train anyone in the world to say, here's your 10 templates of your 10 most common questions. When someone asks this, send it back to them. It's really easy to do that. A YouTube agency, the fulfillment is the actual video itself. So let's say that you run a YouTube agency and you set up sales funnels for service-based business clients and you make videos for them and you give a call to action to book a call, whatever. So video editing itself, very, very, very time intensive. There's sorting the footages, there's exporting it, to render a 10-minute video that's complex could take 2 hours for, a basic computer. Sitting around waiting things to upload. If the file is 3 gigs, it could take a while to upload. You never know. There's lots of talented editors out there. They can be trained in the style that you need and the way you want to produce it. And you can remove yourself from the fulfillment of your video agency. A local service business, say that you're a plumber, you're an electrician, or a gardener. Doesn't matter. There's so many of those people out there who don't want to run their own business. So instead of you spending all day cleaning poop out of people's pipes, you can instead be getting new clients while you pay someone else to deal with the poopy problems. Get someone else to do the dirty work. Lead gen agency. Say you're doing cold email outreach or cold calling. Doesn't matter. Having someone else respond to all the common questions or objections or to dial and read the script frees you up from all that, not even just the time, it's the notifications. So-and-so responded, positive reply, etc., etc. All businesses, doesn't matter if it's offline, online, brick and mortar, doesn't matter, but they all have a certain amount of administrative work that has to be done. Download bank statements, update the owner's calendar, pull the numbers and run this report, check in with this client, book travel, whatever it's going to be. All of this, the to-do list never ends. So you get an administrative assistant or an executive assistant or just a virtual assistant. Many processes can be outsourced for a fraction of the price of what your time is worth, which puts those hours directly back in your pocket. And this is true for a business really at any level. This presentation is intended for people who are relatively new to business, making around $10,000 a month. But more than likely, as your business grows, you just have bigger and bigger problems to solve, bigger and bigger headaches, bigger and bigger tax bills. So you can always be looking at the administrative work that's going on in your company and figure out, where you could effectively outsource that time. Next on the outsourcing list, sales. Simply because of the good old calendar. So when you've got someone scheduling at all times of the day and night, it becomes really hard as the owner or the founder to actually get stuff done because you're just constantly being interrupted instead of having actual blocks of work where you can focus on really important things like, recording a video like this where I'm clearly illustrating everything with how our process works. I need to sit down, I need to record this. If I had a sales call in 10 minutes, I'd be rushing through this or I wouldn't have even started in the first place. You can block your calendar, you can only take calls at a certain time of day. And you know what that does? That means less clients and less business. So if someone wants to fly American Airlines from Los Angeles to New York at 8 a.m., but America only has a flight at 10 a.m., that person doesn't wait months for American to add an 8 a.m. flight. They book a flight on United or Delta Airlines or Southwest or JetBlue or Frontier or Spirit. God forbid you fly on those last two airlines, but any number of other options. They don't sit and wait for American to add the 8 a.m. flight. They find someone who will accommodate that. So more than likely, you are throwing business away by not having calendar slots open where people can actually book slot. And you have to remember too that if you want you want successful business owners who are making money, which means that their calendars are full and they're busy and they only have certain slots. So those are the ones you want. You don't want clients and customers who have open calendars. You just don't. This obviously is very much kind of a more service-based agency, this point number 2 on sales, but even so, on e-commerce, let's say you have a phone. And if you're running an e-commerce store, you should have a phone where people can call you. This makes sense. You should have someone else picking up the phone. What are you going to do? Be trying to sit here and figure out your profit and loss and meanwhile, oh, hey, do you have this in stock? Well, of course it's in stock. It says there's 100 of them on the site. Oh, next call. What's your return policy? Did you miss the big bright red flashing letters where it said there's no refunds? You don't want to be interrupted all the time doing this stuff. Finally, the third thing to hire out, reversed again, marketing. Marketing is an art. So it's really, really, really hard sometimes to actually hire that out. There's good marketing and there's bad marketing, but it's all about results at the end of the day. It really is. It is really, really difficult to just hire someone to do marketing or hire someone to fill my calendar or hire someone to grow my company. We had a request the other day. I need someone who can can grow my Shopify store from 7 to 8 figures. It's like someone who can grow a Shopify store to 8 figures, that's $10 million a year. Someone who can do that wants a lot of money or is running their own Shopify company. You can't just hire someone to grow your company. It just doesn't work like that. If you could, then everyone would own a company if they could just pay someone $2,000 a month and they would just do it all for them. It just doesn't work like that. It is much easier to hire out marketing to execute processes that you have already laid out. So post to social media with these hashtags depending on the video, or scrape a list of potential new clients and put them into the autoresponder. Create infographics for content. You get it where I'm going with this. This is stuff that has to be done often, and it's repeatable, and you can SOP it. Whereas hiring someone to just do marketing or hiring a media buyer to run paid ads, like it's so vague, it's never going to be work. You have to be clear on your objectives and your goals, and only then can you actually hire someone to do the job. And really, it's so much easier just to hire fulfillment or sales. It makes sense to do it in that order almost all of the time. It just does. Now, the 4 categories of tasks. Now, the other 3 points above about fulfillment, sales, marketing, those are general guidelines, but you should always take this into account. 4 categories: stuff you love doing and makes the company money, stuff you hate doing but makes the company money, stuff you love doing but doesn't make the company money, and stuff you hate doing and doesn't make the company money. So you should be aiming to do more of stuff in category 1, this one here, you love it, plus it's high ROI, and you should be aiming to do almost none of the one down here, which means you hate it and it's low ROI. So this means if you're an e-commerce store owner, but you absolutely love customer support, then maybe you don't eliminate that task from your plate. Maybe you still take some calls or inquiries all the time, and your company's never big enough that you're too good to talk to a client or a customer. I'm like a big believer in that. Like even Jeff Bezos was calling Amazon customer support and seeing how they're doing. And I bet you he is not too proud to get on a freaking customer support call at Amazon if he absolutely needed to. Bet you he would do it. On the other side, if you hate marketing with a passion, you want to be an operator, someone who just kind of runs the business day to day, you should try to outsource that. But it's far trickier to outsource things the further down that ladder you go. Remember, a business owner doing stuff that they love doing and excel at is a business owner with energy. Your goal is to be high energy. It's the only way you can do it. You'll also find this video here on YouTube, how to determine what to delegate. Should be helpful. I'm sure you'll get some good info out of that. So click that link there. Now that we have talked about what to hire for and in what order and how to figure out what you love and what you hate, a good interview contains the following 3 elements: the opportunity to get to know somebody, a practical part where you get into the nitty gritty, like what are your qualifications for this job, etc. And 3, an opportunity for them to ask questions for you. So a very simple formula that I like to follow is tell people to interview on their computer, not on their phone. I think you'll never have better results with a phone. Always just looks less professional, or they're on the move, in a cafe or whatever. Just say, be on your computer at home in a quiet place. If they can't adhere to that, move on to the next candidate. You have to break them out of their spell. Most of you have probably been on a date that was just like the 5 dates you went on beforehand, where it's, oh, what do you do for a living? What are your parents like? Do you have any dogs? Do you have any pets? Whatever. You need to break them out of their typical spell. Candidates are used to going to interviews and getting the same questions of, what was your last job? What was your last manager like? Boring, boring, boring. Break them out of their spell, ask a personal question. Honestly, I usually just start an interview by saying, I want you to tell me something really weird about yourself. Nothing about work, nothing about your career, something that nobody else knows. And you have like 30 seconds to do it. Something like that. And usually they realize this is not a typical person, a typical interview, and then they're a little more excited about it. Run the show. Don't let things get off track. I like to use language like briefly tell me or in 30 seconds tell me, because I hate people who ramble and talk and talk and talk. So I use this to effectively get to the point, and I will not hesitate to cut them off. If 30 seconds in, they still haven't gotten to the point, I'll say, hey, this is supposed to be a concise answer. Can you please sum it up for me? Ask questions tailored about your company and about the position to make sure they're actually prepared for the interview. I always like to ask them to sum up the job and the expectations in their own words, just to make sure that everybody's on the same page. And finally, I never ask, do you have any questions? I say, what questions do you have? Because I think it's really important that they have good questions. I think that shows curiosity and eagerness, that if someone who has no questions, I don't really have any questions, that's huge, huge, huge red flag to me. You might be wondering, when, let's say you've heard all this and you say it sounds great, you're interested in maybe making a hire through Hire UA. Do you think you need to train them? And we get this question a lot, like, do I have to train them? So do you think that if someone's working at Burger King and they're a fry cook, do you think that they can just walk next door to McDonald's and instantly start without any training? Probably not. The most talented chef in the world, 3-star Michelin chef, could he walk into any restaurant in the world and execute a dinner service without any prior experience or training in that restaurant? Probably not. No matter how entry level or advanced the position is, you're going to have to provide some training on some level. Someone who cooked fries at Burger King is obviously going to be able to go to McDonald's and figure it out pretty quickly. Just like the Michelin star chef who runs a 12-course restaurant can probably figure out how to work the frickin', Applebee's line, right? But expecting them to do it without any training is completely and totally unrealistic. Someone with past or relevant experience is obviously going to get up to speed quicker, but that is not an excuse for you to not give any onboarding or not give any training or any instruction or to be available to that person, whatever it is. If you leave someone to drown, they're likely going to drown. So you have to be willing to invest in someone. It's impossible not to. And what's funny is we hear things sometimes. Someone comes to us like, oh, I've hired 5 people and the first one didn't work out because of this and this and this. And the reality is those people have never stopped and thought like, oh, holy shit, where's the common denominator on the last 5 hires of the same position, none of whom could figure it out because they were lazy or stupid or didn't think independently, whatever it is. Maybe the problem is with you. So you really need to think this through. Nailing good onboarding, good training, you'll have happy team members who truly own the tasks and roles that you give them. Do a poor job and you're going to churn. And it's expensive to churn employees. It really is, because all that time, all that knowledge goes out the door. We do have a library of SOPs that you're more than welcome to go through and help yourself. Always happy to share these with you or work with you to create them for this position. Just ask on your discovery call or directly to your client success managers once you're on board. So how much time will that take? Not going to take the BK fry chef very long to learn the Mickey D's frying machine. That's an elaborate way of saying it's going to depend on the position. And I know you absolutely probably hate getting that answer and it's kind of a cop-out. I get it. But if you hire an inbox manager who previously worked as an inbox manager at a lead gen company, and let's say they managed 100 email boxes and you only have 25, well, guess what? They're going to be up to speed pretty quick. They just got to know your business, your offer, your templates, your ICP, common questions, et cetera, et cetera. It's likely going to go pretty well. It's probably not going to take them very long. Like I actually hired a new inbox manager 4 weeks ago, and she had worked at a lead gen company running hundreds of inboxes before. She was booking calls in the first week because all I had to do was say, these are our clients, these are the common problems, these are the common objections, here's what you do, like here's the link, here's the calendar, here's how you log in. It took less than a day of my time to get her up to speed. That was it. If you hire a customer support agent who worked with a company that previously sold similar products, obviously it's going to be easy. On the other hand, let's say you are hiring an executive assistant, someone to run your life, business and personal. I've had a few of them in my business career. That's going to take time. So they're going to need to learn your schedule, your preferences, where you like to sit on a plane, aisle window, your general financial spending habits, your spouse's birthday, your kid's birthday, who needs gifts, what clients are important, what matters to you, your big hobbies, passions, times that are interruptible if it's emergency and times that are absolutely never, ever, ever bother me. All of that. You cannot expect someone to just come in on their first day and know all of these things. It is just absolutely impossible. All of the above things I just mentioned, sitting on the plane, financial, spouse, birthdays, those are all personal. That's not even getting into the ins and outs of your actual business. So no, expecting an executive assistant or an operations manager or a position like that to just come in and just figure it all out on the first day, that's never going to happen. It's just totally infeasible. Expecting someone just to understand every nuance in your life, if you're a busy business owner, it takes time. You have to give them information. They have to learn it. It's an adjustment period. You just cannot expect to pick someone off the floor and have them run your life. It's shocking how I have to explain this, but a lot of people have just a complete opposite view of this and think it's totally reasonable. You hire someone to help run your life, but life is complex. That's why you're hiring and getting the help. Expecting someone to know that in 1 week is insane. You might be asking what a good onboarding process looks like. I'll say this till the cows come home. The most important thing that your company has is your time. So it makes sense if you want someone to succeed at your company that you have to give them that most valuable resource. And it makes sense that they would have a higher chance of success if they have access to the most valuable resource in the company. See how that works? So a good onboarding process means they receive on-the-job direct training directly from you or somebody else. So again, this video is primarily for people at about $10,000, $20,000 in revenue. Probably it's going to come from you at that point because the company's pretty new. They're given the opportunity to demo/trial the work with supervision, and then they are set free to work on their own, but given access to whoever they need, especially for their first 90 days. All this is really important to come together so that people feel, it sounds cheesy, but that you want them to feel welcome and supported and safe, where they can make mistakes and they can ask questions and they get the answers that they need. Otherwise, you might say that's cheesy or that's weird or I don't care about providing a safe environment, but you're not going to get the best out of people then. It's really that simple. Coaching and corrections. Now, I know it is always exhausting to be correcting and coaching people, but it is your job as a business owner now. That's whether you signed up for it or not, it's your job. If you don't want this job, you can go back to being a one-man shop, or you can go back to being a freelancer, you can go back to a 9-to-5 job, and then you can take that responsibility off of your plate. But for now, if it's your name on the door, it's your company, it is your job now. There's really no way around it. So I always say, don't let things fester and get worse and worse. Don't bottle them up and hope that it just magically fixes itself. It doesn't work. It's like a relationship. Most of us at one point or another have had a partner who we aren't happy with and we don't speak up about it and we just let it fester and fester and fester. It gets worse and worse. And then eventually it just explodes and you have one of those arguments where you have an original point that you want to make in the argument and then 5 minutes later you're arguing about something else and then it goes on for 2 hours and you've talked about 20 different things and you have no idea how this fight even started. You don't want to be doing that from a business perspective. And it's easy to get down that road of not speaking up. Better to nip things in the bud and address it right off the bat, as opposed to waiting and letting it fester and then having it just absolutely explode. Don't do that. You want to avoid that in terms of business. You know, relationships are messy. Another question, when hiring overseas might be, all this sounds great, solid prices, easy service, been through everything in this document, clear onboarding, but really how good is their English? And honestly, these are all people on the team. We have a couple of presenters here, and this is my executive assistant, Yana, here with the sunglasses, looking fly. And I would just encourage you to watch these videos because they will definitely show you what the level of English can be of someone that we can place into your business. And finally, if you are a business owner looking for help, then book a call with the team. Click this button here. You can check out our blog full of articles and resources, subscribe to our company YouTube channel as well as my personal channel. And then finally, you can also check out this document here to learn how we can find, place, and integrate remote talent into your business in just 5 days. Another video here and some more information, all the prices there, our timelines, everything else. So hope you got some value out of this video. Like I said, go ahead and check out all the links here. I'll link to the document down below. And if you want to book a call, just go to hire-ua.com. Look forward to speaking with you. And like I said, this is for business owners kind of just getting started out, you know, $10,000 or so. Obviously, if you're higher than that revenue number, you might have gotten some value from this as well, but want to just say that if you're at this revenue number, you know, keep going. This is the point where if you make that next push and you hire someone good and you are able to take back some time, you can really grow your business. And I know it's really scary, but I would encourage you, don't give up, keep going. There's always going to be ups and downs in business, but keep your head up, keep moving forward, and eventually you'll see that go up and up and up over time. You just have to persevere. So hire-ua.com. Thanks for watching.